We're taking a look at the base alignment of our 3-4 defense. This is the starting point for installing our attacking multiple 3-4 defense, and this is presented by FootballDefense.com. Our 3-4 defense is going to start with the base front, even though we may not run it very often in actual practice. With the multiple 3-4 defense, most of our fronts are going to look more like an even front, either shaded to a field or to a boundary, or shaded strong or weak. But most of them are going to look more like either a 4-3 over or under front. However, we want to start with our base front. We use field and boundary tags. We use a variety of front calls to create a lot of different looks out of the 3-4 defense here, not just this base alignment. By starting with the base front, though, our players have an understanding of what is happening when we tell them they are shifting either to the field or to the boundary, or away from the field or away from the boundary. We generally shift our linebackers in the direction of the call. Our defensive line will shift away from the call. Our base front will be used at times, and we'll use our base front with slant calls. We will always have our defensive line being one-gap players, either slanting to a gap or aligning in a gap. We do not two-gap our front. So we will never have our players responsible for two gaps, which is the style of some 3-4 defenses, especially in the NFL. You'll see more two-gap defenses. But the vast majority of 3-4 defenses are going to have the defensive line being one-gap players, and that's the case in our multiple 3-4 defense. So our 3-4 base call, we're going to have the nose guard in a head-up 0 technique on the center. The defensive ends will be in head-up 4 techniques on the offensive tackles. Our Will and Mike linebacker, our two inside linebackers, are going to be in 30 techniques. The 3 means outside shade of the guard, the 0 being 5 yards off the ball. So that's our 30 technique inside linebackers. They are very similar in their style and their abilities that we need them to play. Our Sam linebacker and our weak safety are your traditional 3-4 outside linebackers. They are going to be 3x3 off the ball, but they are not interchangeable players. Our Sam linebacker will spend the majority of his time up on the line. In our base front calls, the Sam is going to be up on the line as basically a defensive lineman, while the weak safety will spend most of his time in coverage. I'd say our Sam spends probably 70% of his time as a defensive lineman and 30% playing as a linebacker. This is a 2-high shell coverage, a 7-man front. So we're going to either use some sort of roll cover 3, or more commonly, we'll be using a quarters coverage or a cover 2. We prefer the quarters coverage, and you can learn more about that quarters coverage at FootballDefense.com. You can find out more about our multiple 3-4 defense, an aggressive attacking defense, a variety of zone blitzes. Love the angles that this creates for zone blitzes, the ability to adapt your coverages and run a lot of different looks here and really confuse the offense out of this 3-4 defense. Is really the benefit of it. Again, check out FootballDefense.com to learn all about our multiple 3-4 defense.